Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and increasingly online. Now, before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good Monday night. Hope you had a good start to your week. Got quite a bit to discuss tonight. A couple of things that I definitely want to go over, and then we'll see what else we get to. One thing that I learned today that was pretty funny, that I believe means that I have the coolest followers ever, or whatever you kids these days call cool. I'm working with this consulting company that is trying to help me grow, and they were looking at a bunch of my analytics, and I'm on the phone with the guy today, and he said, so, because we discussed everything that I talk about and on my podcast and videos and stuff. And he said, so how often do you talk about rock music? And I said, what? He's like, rock music. How, is that a everyday topic, or you just talk about it every once in a while? I said, I've never talked about rock music. So apparently a very large percentage of my followers are also into rock music. However they do the algorithms. So I thought that was pretty funny, because it was like, oh, you never, it's like, so it's just a coincidence. I guess that's all I can tell you. We are cool. My wife said, I think that just means you have an older crowd. So there's nothing wrong with that either. So I put out a podcast today, a short podcast and video on all the platforms. If you haven't had a chance to see it, and it's in reference to what we talked about at the very end of the live on Friday night with the new SAVE Act, Alabama House Bill 541. And that bill was sponsored by a representative out of North Alabama, Ernie Yarborough. And as I said, we talked about it a little bit on Friday night, and then I said we'd be talking about it more this week and how to do a podcast. So, crazily, in between Friday night, it happened Saturday, this past Saturday, that representative's children, I don't know how many children he has in all, but he has a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old. And somehow, and I don't know details other than he and his wife were in the house, and it's still unclear exactly where the incident happened, if occurred, if it was inside the house or outside. But somehow his 6-year-old got access to a loaded AR-15 and accidentally shot the 13-year-old. Now, luckily, it shot him in the back of the shoulder, and so it's not life-threatening. And the 13-year-old is already back home, recovering, thankfully. But that's a horrible, horrible situation. And it's something I talk about all the time. You, as an adult, or you as a firearms owner, you are responsible for your firearms 100% of the time. If they get stolen, you're responsible. So it's your job to make sure no one else has access to them. It's your job to not leave them in your car and for someone to steal them. All these things. And then the one thing that I'm always harping on is child safety with firearms in your house. And that at no point, there should be absolutely zero way for a child in your house to have access to a firearm unless you are right with them supervising them. And in this incident, this is 100% the adult's faults. Y'all hold on one second. Sorry about that. So, inexcusable. And no way around that. Especially a lawmaker, a state lawmaker. Especially one that stands up for gun rights, which I do too. But again, every single time you hear me talking about protection and protecting yourself and protecting your family, if you choose to have a firearm for that protection, which is what I recommend, but only if you can put in the time and training to be very, very good with that weapon. And you can keep that weapon safe and secure 100% of the time. And if you're not able to do one of those things, or if you're just not comfortable with firearms, then don't get one. There are other weapons you can choose. Inexcusable. And I was sent that story about the incident Saturday. I was literally in the middle of recording the podcast I had set on the SAVE Act and him. And someone sent me that story, and I read over it. I was like, that is crazy, and sad and all this other stuff. And I got back to making the podcast, and it was like 20 minutes in, and I was saying his name on the recording, And it hit me. I was like, whoa, this is the same guy. And so I went back and remade the whole thing. Again, I mean, the only word, and I know I keep saying it over and over again, but it's inexcusable. Again, luckily, the child is supposed to make a full recovery, and it was not life-threatening. But, man, that could have been really bad. If it would have went the really wrong way, I want you to think about how many lives would have been ruined. The poor 13-year-old, at absolutely no fault of his own, would have lost his life. The 6-year-old would have had to live the rest of his life knowing that. And even though it was not his fault in any way whatsoever, I would imagine that would sit on you for the rest of your life. And then obviously, the parents would have to live with that and probably wouldn't be able to go to sleep again, wouldn't be able to sleep with themselves ever again. And then obviously the rest of the friends and family. Over an adult that is a state lawmaker that doesn't even have the responsibility to keep access from a loaded AR-15 from his 6-year-old. It's not okay. And as I said in my podcast today, do not come at me with accidents happen. No, this accident should never happen. No excuse. Number one, I am calling for that representative to step down from being a lawmaker. No way around that. I don't care what kind of person he is. I don't know much else about him. Again, inexcusable. He needs to step down. And then this ridiculous bill that he has sponsored needs to be shut down in the Senate. And again, his name is Representative Ernie Yarborough out of Lawrence County, Alabama. Let me pull this picture up. But when we make really, really bad mistakes, because we do, we have to face the consequences of those. And again, thank God that he's not having to face the consequence of losing a child. Thank God. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But he needs to have the consequence of stepping down from that office. Yeah, oh, you're right, Ruth. Those kids are scared for life. It was still a unbelievably traumatic event for both. Neither one of them will ever forget it. And again, there probably still will be some guilt that the 6-year-old has when he gets a little older, and I hope not. I mean, I hope he doesn't. I'm just trying to be real. I mean, he should not have any guilt for anything because, again, not his fault whatsoever. Obviously, a 6-year-old does not know better, literally. but he probably will at some point. But again, when we make huge mistakes, we have to be willing to face the consequences, and that's a consequence. Again, that's the best consequence he could have had in this situation, but he needs to give that office up immediately. That should be your number one. That should be your number one responsibility as a father, as a parent, is to make sure your children cannot get their hands on a weapon, much less a loaded weapon. And if you can't even keep that responsibility, then you have no business making laws in our state of Alabama. What's up, Eric? I've been worried about you. I saw there's some. I can't remember what part of Hawaii you said you live in. I couldn't remember if it's Maui or not, but I didn't know if you were suffering from any of the flooding out there. Christy, yeah, you don't need to be on here. You need to rest. We got this. We should make it if you buy. Hey, don't use the G word. I know I accidentally used it a while ago, but they'll end up kicking us off TikTok if we're not careful with it. I know it's ridiculous, but we should make it if you buy a firearm, you have to buy a lockbox. I mean, that shouldn't even have to be the government shouldn't have to require that, like make you. You should be, as a responsible adult. Again, you should. That's part of it. And it may have been Friday night. I don't remember if it was Friday or Wednesday. One day last week on the live, we were literally talking about this exact subject. And I talked about how, again, serious you have to take firearm ownership, and that you're responsible for every single thing that happens with that firearm. And I mean, I've got more in my house than I could count. I'm the only person that has access to them ever. Now, my wife has one for protection that she has access to all the time, obviously. But again, she's the only one that has access to it. Our children could never stumble around and accidentally find one and get their hands on it. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. Their friends could be over here. They're not going to find one, even if they're looking, and be able to have access to it. It's impossible. And this is not complicated. We got hit pretty hard. I'm on high ground. But others took a pretty whack on all islands. Oh, it hit all islands. I didn't realize that. I hadn't had time to really look into it, but I hate that. I'm glad you're okay and doing well. Hey, Ann, how are you? How's Arkansas? And the other thing about firearms with children, again, children are curious about everything, and especially about that. And if you have one, if you have them in the house, if you own any at all, from the time your child is old enough to be walking and talking and asking about them at all, you need to show them, again, very, very safely, you know, and obviously depending on how old they are and how mature they are or whatever, but let them hold it, let them touch it, let them see it. And then also, again, very safely on a safe range with them fully protected. Let them be close enough to where they can hear and see you fire it, so they can see and understand this is a very dangerous weapon. All those things are very important as well. And again, it shouldn't matter at your house because yours should always be locked up no matter what. But you never know. They could be somewhere and see one. And again, they're very curious and then pick it up. So to help with those issues, again, try to make them as least curious as you can. And that's not 100% going to fix the problem, but it helps a lot. So again, they need to be as least curious as they can. And the way to do that is, again, show them, let them touch it, let them hold it, all that stuff. Teach them about it. And most importantly, while you're teaching them about it, how dangerous they are. And again, let them see, hear that loud bang and see how scary it is so they understand. Because that's one mistake some parents make is it's always like, oh no, that's dad's, that's mom's. You don't touch that. You don't go around it. What is a kid going to do when you tell them about anything? They're going to try everything they can to get their hands on it. I mean, again, that's how children are. So again, that's not the way to be. But that's another thing. Me, like for my son, being myself and his mother, both in law enforcement our entire lives, from a very, very early age, we were very careful with that. And we would show him. And now, like he's 11, I'll try to get him to go out and shoot with me. And sometimes he does, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't really enjoy it. And so I don't make him. Every once in a while he'll say, yeah, I'll go. And then a little bit, he's kind of scared of them, which is good. And again, I don't force it on him at all. But he's never showed curiosity with them. When he's been by me and I've been cleaning him or whatever, it's just something that doesn't interest him. Now, obviously, there's no way of me knowing if that is just because we made him so less curious from a very early age, or if it's just him. But again, I think it helped a lot. But again, still not that I would trust him being unsupervised with access to one ever. The physics of firearms are important. No do-overs. I got a buddy that got they know better than to touch, but that's kids. They don't unless taught something. Always said everyone should go through basic at least for common sense, if nothing else. Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, you can say that all day. Oh, my kid knows better than to insert whatever. At the end of the day, they're a child. So be careful with that saying. And again, with something that could, with something that's very dangerous, you don't chance that, no matter how much you think they know better. But yeah, I mean, my son, I'm trying to think how old he was when he first fired a pistol. He was young, maybe 7, maybe 8, and younger than that with like a little 22 rifle that I would let him, shoot at an earlier age than that. And then he shot a lot of them now, but again, it's not really, he's not that interested in them. And I'm okay with that. Lane put down 2 did this year in the free. Oh, that's awesome. And again, especially in this day and time where most kids at some point are playing these video games, which is a no. And if you're not familiar with Dave Grossman, amazing author and leader, but he's done a ton of research into all of this stuff, and he talks about how with the gaming and the first person shooting or any shooting games for a child, the chances it increases of it causing mental instability at some point with weapons. I guess is the best way I can word it. Hope that made sense. But again, he's done tons of research with, and it's been so long since I've looked at that certain research I'm talking about. I got it in some of his books. I need to go back over it at some point, but it was a crazy percentage. And again, I'm making this up. Because I don't remember the ages or anything off the top of my head, but say if a 10-year-old was playing those games, the chances that it increased of them doing something violent with one at some point, again, was crazy to hear. So that's another thing I'm absolutely against is a child. And I mean, this depends on maturity. I would say 16, 17 before they should ever be allowed, if even then, ever be allowed to play any of those games. And that's strictly off of his research. And I remember when I first learned about it and read it a long time ago, and it stuck with me. So again, that's another thing you want to be extremely careful with, and it should be a no. And I play when I have time, which I hadn't lately, but I enjoy Call of Duty. And I'll be playing sometimes, and there'll be kids, like kids, because they'll talk. And you hear them like, my God, how old is this kid? And I mean, they're young, playing that all the time. It's crazy. My grandfather was a small arms instructor in the Navy. Hey, I was too. Not that long ago, though. But that's awesome. In World War I. Wow. Man, I bet he had some stories. I miss my childhood over under 22. I knew what you meant. 410. Parents are being held responsible now, as they should. Again, there are a lot of things that are just completely accidental, and or some that are just freak accidents. I get that. Those things are going to happen. It's those things that we just hope don't happen to us. There's not really a lot we could do about it. But again, this inexcusable. I was trained on a Red Ryder. One of our special needs kids told me at school today a grown man was talking to him on Roblox. I hope y'all notify the parents or guardians, whoever, for sure. Because special needs are really, really targeted, for sure, even more so than ones that are not. I agree with that. If you could your dad said if you could hit a bullseye with a Red Ryder, you could hit anything. Right? I agree with that. Or those things, you could literally watch the BB going down, shoot so slow. Friend's kid made a scary turn, confessed he'd like to know what it felt like in real life. Jesus. Oh, that's scary. With our drill instructors, we were even taught not to carry chambered versus pulling and chamber in one in action to avoid accident. Kids or someone taking it from you, you had the advantage knowing he had to chamber against you. Yeah, no, that's not a bad train of thought for sure. I have no kids, but I've heard nothing good about Roblox. No, Roblox is horrible. Yeah, we've talked about that before. Wendy's talking about said Roblox has the school shootings in the game where they are the person doing the shooting with the real victims' names. Yeah, we've talked about that. I know for sure because I've seen it myself. Uh, After I saw it on with Schlepp on the Sean Ryan podcast, and then I went and looked at it with and y'all know I'm not going to remember the name. I had it too. Now it's just a mind block. It's impossible for me to remember. Sandy Hook. Yeah, I remembered it. The Sandy Hook incident with, like you said, the real victims' names and everything is unbelievable. I still only have a flip phone. You have no clue how many times I've thought about just going to a flip phone, but then I know as soon as I do, I'll need a smartphone for something, and which is probably just an excuse. But that would be very relaxing just to have a flip phone again. It really would. Katie, you're not even old enough. You probably ain't never seen a flip phone in real life. just came in. What are we talking about today? We started off talking about Representative Yarborough, one of the was he out of Lawrence County, Alabama, state representative, which is this guy pictured. And we talked about him last week due to he is sponsoring a bill that's just got passed through the House in the state of Alabama, House Bill 541. And then, unbelievably, Saturday, his 6-year-old was able to get access somehow, I don't know the details yet, to a loaded AR-15 and shot his 13-year-old brother in the back with it. Luckily, the 13-year-old survived and is already back home recovering and supposed to make a full recovery, thankfully. But anyway, we talked about that, how irresponsible that was of him, and how I'm calling for him to resign immediately from his state office. And then that bill needs to be killed in the Senate, for sure. It's not just Roblox. Some guy was trying to gift my nephew stuff in meta games this weekend. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely not just Roblox. The main thing with Roblox, though, is most parents, as I did when I first heard about it, because it is clearly just marketed as a child's game, as a kid's game. And most parents just think it's just an innocent kid's game. Unfortunately, in reality, it is a true hunting ground for child predators. Thousands and thousands every day. And there's been so many confirmed cases of that happening from Roblox that something's got to be done. But yeah, no, it's, as I say all the time, when your child has access to the internet, you're not just giving your child access to the world. You're giving the world access to your child. And that's that's the way it should be put, because that's the truth. That's very scary. And they should be monitored. Anytime they're on the internet, they should be monitored no matter what. You can't be careful enough. Just joining, serious. My son plays all the time. I thought I was informed. You're talking about your son plays Roblox? You need to get him off of it ASAP. I don't know if you were on just a few minutes ago when we were talking about it, but Wendy brought it up there. The Sandy Hook incident that happened in Sandy Hook Elementary some years back. There's a game on Roblox where you can be the school shooter at Sandy Hook and go around and taking out kids. And the kids all have the real victims' names. This is a game, an actual game on Roblox. And that's just one example. And we've talked about it a lot, but Roblox, there's been a lot of good people and what we call ethical hackers on Roblox that has located a lot of child predators on there and called them out and reported them. And Roblox bans those people from the game, not the child predators. If you report a child predator on Roblox, they will ban you. It is a hunting ground, and you can get on Roblox and just pretend. You don't even have to be, but you pretend to be a 12-year-old. Within 5 minutes, a child predator is going to be talking to you. Within 5 minutes, sometimes not even that long. But the Chris Hansen, if you're not familiar with him, which I hope you are, but Chris Hansen, who was the To Catch a Predator journalist, one of the greatest investigative journalists ever, very decorated journalist. But he has his own network now called True Blue Network, and he's got the show back on there where he's still doing these stings all the time. But he just put out a documentary on Roblox, or just put out the first episode. It's a little over around an hour long on there. And if you're a parent, you need to watch that. You need to make yourself watch it, because you'll learn everything you need to know just in that first episode. It's here. Let me pull it back. Let me pull that back up so I can show, so you actually see what it looks like. I've got so many computer monitors now, I'll lose my pages. Well, here it is.
Welcome to the True Blue.
I'm not signed in on my computer, but this is what it looks like. The documentary is called Dangerous Games. That just gives you a visual, so when you're searching, you can find it. And again, you can find that on the True Blue Network, and you can download the True Blue app on any smart TV, Roku, whatever. It's my favorite network now. I don't watch a lot of TV at all, but when I do now, it's what I watch, because there's some really awesome other shows on there as well. Yeah, make sure you go watch that, especially the first episode for sure. And I can't remember when the next episode is coming out, but make sure you watch that. And anyone that you know as a parent, they need to watch that. And then the other thing, I don't remember how to spell his name, is this podcast episode on Sean Ryan's podcast. This one right here.
Biggest company.
Get through this ad. But this Sean Ryan podcast episode, which is episode 284 with Schlepp, listen to that. Watch it, listen to it, whichever you prefer. I promise you, if you're a parent and you watch or listen to either one of those, like if you just watch the documentary or if you just watch this podcast, you will never let your child back on Roblox no matter what, under any circumstance. If you watch both of them, you'll never let your child, and you will tell every parent you know, get your kid off Roblox immediately. That's how eye-opening they are. And they're graphic. They're graphic. But as a parent, you need to hear what goes on these things. It's a lot better to hear it and learn and get your child off of it than to learn the hard way, the way, unfortunately, a lot of parents have had to. Yeah, Schlepp is a good follow as well. And he's been on a lot of podcasts lately, too. He was a big Roblox kid when he was young. He loved Roblox. He'd started building games on there and coding. And at that time, one of the biggest game creators on Roblox befriended Schlepp, and Schlepp looked up to him like he was like a hero of his, because, again, this is one of the biggest creators on Roblox at that time. It turned out being a child predator, and Schlepp became a victim. And so now he has made it one of his life decisions to take down child predators and to make sure what happened to him doesn't happen to other children, especially with Roblox. And again, he's 22 years old now. But when he was 11, 12, 13, he became a victim to a child predator on Roblox. And since he started speaking out about that, guess what Roblox did? They banned him. They banned him. Sent him cease and desist letters, everything. That's what Roblox does to the people it's calling it out. And again, he talks all about that and a lot more crazy stuff on that podcast. Make sure you check it out. But Schlepp is he's a great man. He's doing great work. I have a ton of respect for him. He's also been on Chris Hansen's podcast a couple times as well. And he is on the documentary with Chris Hansen on Roblox as well. Show you another good podcast episode on Sean Ron's show. But every episode on Sean Ron's is a great episode. But as far as the roadblocks, let's see, with Ron Montgomery. Ron Montgomery is another great follow. This is him. He's been on Sean Ron's show a couple times, but this last one, episode 255 right there, I forgot I didn't have it up. Sitting here talking about something y'all can't see. Episode 255 right there. And he is one of the best ethical hackers in the world, as far as he's one of the top hackers, but an ethical hacker, meaning he contracts through government agencies and things like that to hack into bad people's things. He was on Roblox, and he was able to hack into one of the group chats that was just filled with nothing but child predators, all talking about what they do and what they're going to do and helping each other. He reported all that to Roblox. And again, at this point, I hope you guess what Roblox did. Did they say, awesome, you need to come work for us. We need you helping us get all these child predators off? No, they banned Ryan Montgomery. So, I'm such a junkie for Sean Ron's interviews. Oh yeah, no, I'm a big fan, and I've been following him ever since he got started. Yeah, the Tim Tebow one on Sean Ron's is very eye-opening as well. They still call them white hat hackers. Yeah, some people use that term. Have you ever thought about going undercover? Well, that's what I did for over 10 years. On Roblox. Yeah, I'm not. I've got so much other stuff going on at the moment. But it is definitely something I've thought about a lot. And I'm not saying I'm not going to at some point. I just don't really have the time right now for that specific thing. But I would like to. But I also would need to be trained, per se, in exactly what those people do, because it's you have to be very careful. And I'll tell y'all someone who runs a huge nonprofit that, well, he catches child predators with his nonprofit doing that kind of stuff. And then he also is a sheriff's deputy, but on a federal task force with Homeland Security, and does it on that side as well. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time now. And he is running for senator in the state of Alabama. And we need to send him to D.C. Again, everybody's talking about the Epstein files and all that stuff. And I agree, we have to do more. That's the perfect person to send there. and that's Jared Hudson. Again, he's running for U.S. Senate in the state of Alabama. And this May, if you live in Alabama, you need to vote for Jared Hudson. Again, I don't even know how it would be a question for anyone. But current polls are not showing him leading. And I don't understand. I don't understand that. I don't understand why anyone, knowing what he does, how great of a person he is, because he's legit. He's a former Navy SEAL. I mean, he's a true warrior in all aspects of being a warrior. And he's a very godly man. And again, it's not just a show he puts on the outside. That's him in real life, nonstop. And we can send him to D.C., and that's who we need to send. Again, I don't understand why it would be a question for anyone. I don't know why anybody, his opponents are Steve Marshall, which is the current state attorney general in Alabama, which not the worst attorney general we've ever had, but not the best. And he's a straight politician. Jared Hudson is not a politician. He's never been a politician. Steve Marshall's a politician, so he's going to say the things that he hopes gets him votes. He's not real. He's not. And then Barry Moore, straight lifetime politician. He's going to say the things that he thinks will get him votes. Not real. It's beyond me. I would love for one person, and I've asked this before, I would love for one person to tell me why they would not vote for Jared Hudson. One person. Yeah, no, I've lost faith in politicians. And that's why I'm tired of voting for politicians. That's why I was a big fan of Donald Trump. And I don't agree with everything he does by any means. He pisses me off too sometimes. But he's the best president we've had in my lifetime by far. By far. And it's because he's not a politician. I'm done with politicians. And I don't understand, especially in Alabama, why we continue to just vote politicians. That's it. If you've been in politics your entire adult life, we'll vote for you. I don't understand it. I mean, we got Tommy Tuberville running for governor, which I don't think, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think Tommy Tuberville would be a horrible governor. And I think he'd be a lot better than what we have, which that's not a big bar, a high bar to pass there. But I think there's some good things he would do. But my God, we should have a better choice. Because I'm tired of these politicians. And my biggest complaint about Tommy Tuberville is he's not an Alabamian. This is not his state. And, well, I said my biggest problem with him is why is he getting kicked out of D.C.? Because if you're not familiar, Tommy Tuberville is one of our current sitting U.S. senators. Nobody, listen, and I've heard all the excuses. And listen, no one gives up a U.S. Senate seat to be governor of any state. That doesn't happen. A lot of governors try to be senator. No one gives up a U.S. Senate seat to be a governor. There's no logic to that whatsoever. Does not make sense. I'm telling you why he has given up his Senate seat. He's getting ran out of D.C. They're kicking him out. And by them, I'm talking about the Republican Party. He's done something. He's pissed the wrong people off, and he's getting blackmailed. I mean, I'm telling you what's happening. And it doesn't take a very intelligent person to understand that. So why is he getting kicked out of D.C.? And the fact that he's being quiet about it, that he won't tell, tells me it's not good. But he's done something, and they made a deal with him and said, we'll keep this under wraps, but you're getting the hell out of D.C. We'll let you be governor. That's how politics work, if you don't understand, especially in the big ones. That's how they work. So why is he getting kicked out? Oh, Reagan was, Can't even speak tonight. Reagan is in a close race with Trump. I've studied a lot about Reagan. A lot. Ever since I started college. And again, what did those two have in common? Reagan was not a politician. He did a lot of good things. I don't agree with everything he did, but he did a lot of. He was a great president. Great president. Again, I'm done with these career politicians. That should not be a lifetime career. It was never made for that. Ever. If you've been in office, I don't care what office it is, for more than 15 years, you will not get my vote. No way around it. That's a hard stop for me. Did someone make him a more lucrative offer? There's nothing more lucrative than a U.S. Senate seat. Nothing. Where I live, they keep voting Buddy Carter. That's in Georgia. If y'all see a troll on his socials, it's me. I'm not that familiar with him. I know the name. I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with him. I love politics, factual parts of it. Oh, I do too. I'm a big fan of politics. That's what I have a degree in political science. Politics fascinates me, and I've studied it for a long time. But there's a lot I hate about it too. If you make millions out of 175 grand a year, that's a hard no for me. Yeah, no, it's insider trading. No way around about it. No way around it. And for some reason, the American people just don't care. We send people to federal prison for long amounts of time for doing that exact same thing. But if they're a senator, nobody says anything. Look at Mitch McConnell. He's in hospice in Congress. I'm not even sure if he's alive, honestly. He's in worse shape than Biden was, and that's saying a lot. And that has nothing to do with politics, by the way. If you forget your own name at times, you should not be in public office anymore. It sucks. Obviously not their faults, but you can't be in, you shouldn't be in public office anymore. And we had a sitting president that was in that state, and we've had quite a few legislators in that state. I mean, Alabama's governor's close to it. She's not as bad as Biden, but she's getting close. I just moved to Alabama a year ago and was planning to vote for the first time in 30 years, but with what they are trying to pass, I don't know if I will. Wendy, please vote in May, at least in the primaries, and vote for Jared Hudson for Senate. Please. I'm telling you, I will put my own reputation on him. Oh, good luck with everything, Eric. I hope y'all stay safe. Proves the shadow government doesn't matter who's in there until except for Trump. And I wish more people. I wish more people could see that. I wish they could see that, and I don't see how more people don't. Even if you hate Donald Trump, he is not part of the machine, and you should appreciate that and thank God for that. He's the first big time politician we've had that's not paid for. Yes, I'm allowed to vote on an Oz law. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Debbie. Yeah, also vote yes to strengthen Naya's law. Please do that as well. But I'm telling you, Jared Hudson is not going to change who he is. He's not. And please don't compare him to another former Navy SEAL that, thank goodness, just got voted out of Congress. They are nowhere close to the same in any way whatsoever. Is that pollen getting to? Oh, yeah, no, it's killing me. I walk outside and I feel like I'm swimming in it. And then I don't ever get headaches other than when it's pollen season. I get headaches and stay stopped up. Yeah, it's bad this year. guess what else is about to come back? I feel like this is some kind of. I feel like it's something I should know the answer to. I'm trying to think. I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me, Kristen. What is that? Mosquitoes? Oh yeah, I got you. Okay, I knew there was something, but I couldn't remember. Hey, if you're new, or if you're not, please follow whichever platform you're on, or subscribe if you're on YouTube. I would really appreciate it. We're trying to build something really big here, and we have a lot of big plans. And it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there, but we will get there. No doubt about that. I'm putting everything I have into this. And when I mean everything. I'm putting a lot on the line to get this to where I want it to be, to where we can help a lot more people, and especially help the families that need answers. And that's really one of the things that got this started, was trying to get answers for missing persons' families. And my original plan, and is still the plan, is I want an entire team of experienced investigators, and where we can go around and work a lot of these cold cases to get families some answers. And again, we have a ways to go for sure, but we will get there, especially with all of your all's help. But please follow, subscribe, and I have a full podcast, and you can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. So make sure you check that out. We've got some really big plans up with some guests that's going to be coming up soon. And we had a previous schedule with some really good guests, and then some things happened, and we've had to put that on standby for a minute, but that is coming. I'm looking really forward to that. I think it's going to make some really good informational episodes. Again, we've got a lot of plans, but I do need all of y'all's help, because I wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't for you all. I couldn't do any of this by myself, obviously, especially with my team. I know they're behind the scenes, but they are amazing, and they're doing a lot of great work as well. But please follow, subscribe. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, please do that. I'm trying to grow that. It's a slow go for sure, but I'd really appreciate a follow or subscribe on there. And I know I've been talking about the Patreon for like a month now, it seems like. I did a lot of more work on that today, so we're very, very close to going live on having our Patreon account, and that's putting a lot of faith in that. And I think that's going to be really big for us. I will have a bunch of, I'll have a big subscription only side on Patreon, a paid subscription side, where I'll have a lot of preparedness videos, protection videos, and some awareness videos for safety, kind of all those kind of things. And if you are a paid subscriber on there, anything you would like for me to cover, I'll make a video of that. And if it's something I'm not that familiar with, or that I don't feel comfortable, I know enough about it, then I will find somebody that is to do it. Because I don't pretend to know everything by far. But I'm putting a lot of work into that, and I'm getting pretty excited about that. And again, I think that's going to be really big for us and help us grow a lot quicker. which we're going pretty quick. If you're kind of new, I put out my first video July 28th or July 27th of last year, 2025. Had no idea it was going to turn into anything. Wasn't expecting it to. So anyway, we're not even really close to a year. Well, we're kind of coming up close, but still. See, what is that? Yeah, we're about 9 months in. Got 37,000 followers on TikTok, 33 or 34,000 on Facebook. So again, I mean, we've grown pretty fast, but we got a long ways to go. But I really appreciate the follows, subscribes, and watch my videos, like them, repost them, share them. That's all I ask of you. Tell your friends and your family. I've almost known you for a year already. Almost. Yes, you have, Gloria. Gloria's been following me since day one. She sure has. All right. I got to talk about this. This is really one of the main things I want to talk about tonight. Because when I saw it, it made me have bad thoughts. And I hate to say that, but it was the truth. And it's about none other than your favorite sheriff, Walker County, Alabama Sheriff Nick Smith. If you're not familiar with him, I've done numerous podcasts on him. Numerous. He's the most corrupt sheriff in the country by far. He's the most corrupt law enforcement officer I've ever known. And the worst leader in law enforcement I've ever known. And he's running for re-election, which again, he will be in the primaries in May. So it's coming up very, very soon. And I've made a promise to a lot of people that live in that county that I would do everything I can to make sure he does not get voted back in. Let me find the post. And you talk about gaslighting. It gets more and more unbelievable daily with gaslighting with him. I mean, it's I see. Since we've been on the live, he has put out a new campaign video. And the title of it is, "In this crazy world, sometimes wisdom comes from the most unlikely of places. Hear what my own kids have to say in this latest video." For someone that's always getting pissed off because people are bringing his family into this, he sure brings his family into it a lot. Oh, yeah, talking about Mrs. Smith. Let's watch that video very quickly for those that didn't see it the other night. This is Sheriff Nick Smith's wife. And she put out this little video last week And again, you all know how big I am and against I am children being on the internet, especially like social media. Your child has no business on social media. None. If your child is 15 or younger, at least, and they have social media, you're begging for something bad to happen. I can't be more clear. Now, here's what she has to say about that.
Our 12-year-old daughter, our youngest daughter, she has just now gotten to the social media world. Before you say anything, there are kids younger than her that have social media. It's none of your business, but she has it. And I monitor it.
One of the dumbest videos I've ever seen in my life. And she justifies it by there are kids younger than her on it. That's what we're supposed to be teaching our children, not to go off that standard. I mean, how many people on this live that has children has told your child at one time, well, if so-and-so jumps off a bridge, does that mean you're going to? We are supposed to teach our children that the standard is not just because other children do it. And that's literally her logic on something that's very dangerous. Her I keep forgetting what age she said.
Our 12-year-old.
12, okay. Her 12-year-old has social media now. 12. I mean, they are just ignorant. As a parent, you're supposed to try to protect your child. The rest of that video, what it's about, is her upset because her 12-year-old sees all the stuff people are saying about their dad on social media. So you're literally sitting here admitting that social media is already harming your child, but it's okay that they're on it because kids younger than her are on it. I just, what is wrong with these people? You can't make this up. It blows my mind. All right, let's move on. Sorry, that was not what I was going to talk about. Necessarily not. Let's move on to what But if your child is on social media and something really bad happens to them, I want you to know you're 100% at fault for that. That is completely your fault, no one else's. Social media is no place for a child. Hell, most adults shouldn't be on social media. Let's go to great Nick Smith's page here. And I saw this post earlier today, and it just... I've seen the opinion piece being circulated today, And we'll go over that next, by the way. And I want to address it directly. First, it's exactly that, an opinion. And it's worth noting where it comes, from a left-leaning, Democrat-friendly outlet that has consistently taken positions against conservative leadership like ours. The same article even goes as far as encouraging support for one of my opponents, someone who spent most of their life as a Democrat until this election. You know who I have a lot of respect for? Somebody that's been a Democrat for a long time and finally realized, wow, because the Democrat Party has changed drastically in the last 10 years. Drastically. I respect people that finally woke up and said, I don't want to be a part of that. Well, to him, it's a bad thing. But there's one part people shouldn't overlook. Even in their criticism, they acknowledge something important: the support we're seeing across this country. And with your continued support, we'll finish this race strong and win. And that's all he cares about, by the way. And I don't take that lightly, he says. I'm grateful for the people of Walker County who have stood behind us because they've seen the work. Going after the drug dealers, bringing poison into our communities. He's done a horrible job at that, by the way. He's busted some very low-level dealers at best. Making hundreds of arrests. Hundreds? I, as a single agent, made hundreds of arrests a year. Just me, not counting. I mean, hundreds? What is that? Can't even say thousands? Putting deputies in our schools. No, he didn't. He put pretend to be deputies in the schools because on that note, he has been indicted by the state recently for employing sworn deputies that he gave a badge and a firearm to with arrest powers that were not APO certified, meaning they were not certified law enforcement officers. You can't do that. 2 of those he put in schools. So he is sitting here bragging, saying, putting deputies in our schools, when 2 of the ones he put in those schools were not certified law enforcement officers, and they're no longer with the sheriff's office because the state arrested him for it. Untrained, not even certified. That's the last place you want those people is in a school. Showing up every single day and doing the job. Fighting addiction and faith in recovery. And that's what all of his focus is on, by the way. This. Fighting addiction with faith in recovery. Hey, I'll be the first to tell you, those are awesome things. I'm all for those things. More people should be working on those. Guess whose job it's not to work on those? The sheriff. And with a sheriff in a county that small, with as few deputies as he has, him of all sheriffs does not have time, or shouldn't have time, to be focusing on that stuff. Again, those are great, and there should be people in every community, in every county working on those. Not the sheriff. That's where all his focus goes on because it makes him look good. And that's all he cares about. Because he damn sure doesn't care about about inmates in his jail, which is, if you don't know, per the Constitution of Alabama, a sheriff has 2 top priorities. That's it. Running the county jail and protecting the inmates in there. And protecting the courts. That's it. He doesn't do either one of those at all. I can't remember how many, but we learned not long ago how many court cases. So he's bragging about these arrests, by the way, when we know well over half, it's a big number, well over half were dismissed by the district attorney's office because his deputies refused to show up for court. And he had an excuse for that. I'm tired of seeing him and hearing him talk about this fighting addiction with faith in recovery. That's not your freaking job, dude. There's people in your county that are begging for help, that need help. There's tons of cold cases in your county that you refuse to investigate at all. Tons of families that deserve some type of answers. And your main focus is on addiction and recovery. This is ignorant as it gets. I'm sorry, I'm going to get fired up, but when I read this earlier, I about lost my mind. Every one of those points is a freaking joke. Freaking joke. All right, let's carry on with this BS statement here. Now, have there been challenges? Absolutely. This job isn't easy. And I've never pretended it was. And then here is the craziest, most frustrating, and funniest line in this whole post. I've faced every issue head on and kept moving forward. You kept moving forward. I am not exaggerating at all when I say this man has not faced any freaking thing head on. Nothing. Go find me one time where he has admitted he's responsible for something that bad that's happened. One time. One time. Go find me one time where he's taken accountability for something and accepted responsibility for something. One time. Go find me that. And I've challenged numerous people to that, and it's yet to happen. He has never admitted a mistake. And if you don't realize it, that's a bad character trait for someone, to say the least. He has never admitted a mistake. It's never been his fault. I call him the excuse master because he can come up with an excuse without even having to think about it. What you're seeing right now isn't about public safety. I agree. Hey, that's the truest statement he's put in there. It's fitting that those are back to back. The dumbest and the truest, the fakest and the truest statement back to back. What you're seeing right now isn't about public safety. You're exactly right, Nick. Nothing about you is about public safety. Everything about you is about Nick. It's about politics. And here's what I have to say about that. And this is what I'd love to ask his wife. If this is all about politics, why is there no other sheriff? There are 67 sheriffs in the state of Alabama. Why out of all 67 is he the only one that's being attacked like this? Why? a good question, isn't it? I'll tell you why. Because it's very deserving of him. Because we have fact after fact proof of his incompetence, of his horrible leadership, and of his corruption. That's why he's the only one. Because most sheriffs in this state are not corrupt at all. Most of them are great. He's the worst by far. Not even a close race. I've worked some investigations on. I've been part of investigations on at least 4 corrupt sheriffs in the state of Alabama. You could put all the bad things those 4 did together, and they're nowhere near as bad as him. Not even close. All right, let's move on. And when it comes down to it, I trust the people of this county to look past opinions and focus on what matters, that they feel safe and their children are safe in our schools. Let me tell you this. I've had all-out deep conversations with hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of citizens of that county that live in straight fear every day. They are that scared of the sheriff's office, of the law enforcement there. They have no one else to call. Hundreds. Not 5, not 10, not 50. Hundreds. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Again, the guy's so ignorant, he doesn't understand the things he says. This whole post was Democrat against Republican. That's what he made it. He's talking about Democrat versus Republican. That's what the whole freaking post is about. But at the end, he mentions public safety one time. And then says, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. He's implying public safety. Well, if that's what matters, why is that mentioned one time in this? And then again, you can't make this up. This guy, oh my God, he makes the dumbest freaking political post I've ever seen in my life. Every one of them. We've gone over all of them. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Public safety. Remember, vote your Republican sheriff, Nick Smith, in the Republican primary. Nick, it really seems like this is about politics to you, not public safety. Let's see. He mentions left-leaning, Democrat-friendly, conservative leadership, Democrat. Politics. Republican. 7 times. Mentions public safety 1 time. This is the basic of statement analysis. The most basic. But he's so dumb, and he's just dumb. Like, he's legit. He's one of the dumbest people I've ever known. I don't know how he's made it this far in life. Honestly, it blows my mind how dumb he is. He has no intelligence. Now, let's see. Let me pull up this opinion article. Give me 1 second to find it. And this is just one article that's been put out about him in the recent days. There was another one put out by USA Today. This one's courtesy of the Alabama Political Reporter. There's a chance that Nick Smith could be reelected sheriff in Walker County. Now, that might seem like an insignificant sentence to you, but I assure you, that is maybe the most mind-bending sentence you will read today. I agree with that. Because Nick Smith currently presides over a sheriff's department that has seen 20, and it's more than 20. I don't know where they got 20, but it's more than 20 of its employees, nearly half the jail staff. It's, in fact, a little over 30% of his entire agency. Let me say that again. A little over 30% of his entire agency has been federally indicted in the last year. Over 30%. Be indicted for federal crimes. Let me put that in perspective for you. When the FBI busted the Gambino crime family in 2023 after a major sting operation, they arrested 16 people. In Walker County, so far, 14 of the 20 arrested have pleaded guilty. Almost all of the arrests and guilty pleas have stemmed from the torture death of Tony Mitchell. He was an inmate. And torture is the best word for it because the poor man was literally tortured for 2 weeks. Tortured. Now, I want to see how many opinions are in this piece that he calls, it's just an opinion. All right, so far, fact. 30% of his agency. This guy undersells it at 20, but have been federally indicted. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. Fact. I've written about Mitchell's death before, and it has been widely covered by state and national media. It continues to be a much discussed topic around Walker County, and a recent front page story in USA Today about Mitchell's murder and the subsequent fallout has only thrown more gas to that fire. This read some more facts here. Mitchell was arrested by the Walker County Sheriff's Office following a mental health call-out. That's fact. Mitchell was suffering a psychotic episode in which he told a family member he had found a portal to hell at his family home when the family member called for help. Fact. Mitchell fled into the woods when deputies arrived, and they claimed he fired a shot at them. Let me tell you something. That's a straight up lie. That didn't happen. You know how I know it didn't happen? Because of this next sentence. And this is all facts. They claimed he fired a shot at them, although a firearm has never been entered into evidence because the firearm was never located. You know why? Because he didn't have one. They lied. He was taken into the Walker County Jail where he was, and there is no more appropriate term, tortured for 2 weeks. Fact. As he stated, at least 14 of the people indicted on this have admitted this in federal court. He was left naked in a cell for extended periods of time. Fact. He was barely provided food, most of which he could not chew because he had lost his dentures when officers tased him, and did not receive water for the final 70 hours he was in custody. That's a fact. There was no toilet in the cell, and he was too weak to use the bathroom. Fact. After he was dragged to the showers, he was returned naked and wet to the cold, empty cell and left to freeze on the concrete floor. That's a fact. And in fact, he did. He froze to death, literally. And that's how he died. After 14 days, his core body temperature reached 72 degrees by the time he finally was taken to a hospital. And let me tell you this. That was his body temperature when he arrived at the hospital. There is over 40 minutes of time missing from when he was transported from the county jail and arrived at the hospital. Over 40 minutes. That's completely unaccounted for. Where was that transport with Mitchell during that 40 minutes? Because it takes 5 to get to the hospital from their jail. So where was the transport? It was riding around trying to warm him up. Think about that. So his body temperature was at 72 degrees after he had been warmed up for almost an hour. Again, fact. Hypothermia and sepsis killed him. Fact. He was so cold that attorneys and family members, along with some doctors, legitimately believed the employees at the Walker County Jail had put Mitchell in a freezer for an extended period. Fact. Nick Smith was the sheriff during all of this. That's a fact. And he was the sheriff responsible for addressing it and cleaning it up and making sure that the general public knew that his jail was not a place for such barbaric and indecent behavior. It's a fact. So he responded by firing an employee. And he did. The woman who leaked the security footage of the guards beating and dragging Tony Mitchell. That's a fact. None of this would be happening, and no one would know the real truth if that employee had not leaked that security footage from inside the jail. That's a fact. How can I be so sure of that? Because as soon as Nick Smith found out that footage had been leaked, him and two of his minions wrote a fictitious search warrant, took it to a judge, got it signed under false pretenses, and then went to regular citizens in that county that they believed had been sent the video and tried to illegally seize normal citizens' cell phones, personal cell phones. That's a fact. I've interviewed two of these people myself. That's a fact. That's how bad they were trying to get that video from getting out. It says, make sure you read that properly. So let's read it one more time. So he responded by firing an employee, the woman who leaked the security footage of guards beating and dragging Tony Mitchell. And oh, by the way, when the state and the FBI first started questioning them about video footage from inside the jail, guess what they were told? That there was none because the cameras were broken that day. They weren't working. Turns out that was a lie because there was footage. Again, the most corrupt sheriff I've ever even heard of. He didn't fire the men and women who beat, ignored, and tortured, turned a blind eye to, and ultimately killed Tony Mitchell. That's a fact. He still to this day has not fired one of them. He fired the lady who blew the whistle. He not only didn't fire any of them, one of those that pled guilty was released from federal custody recently and signed an agreement as part of his plea agreement that he would never work in law enforcement again. And he was forced to give up his APO certification, his Alabama law enforcement certification. Went back to work, and this was just 3 weeks ago, went back to work for the sheriff's office in Walker County for Nick Smith. You heard that right. After being federally indicted and admitted that he assisted in the torture and killing of this man. Nick Smith let him come back, even though he wasn't supposed to, gave him a badge, a firearm, and a uniform, and then put him as a security officer in the courthouse, claiming it was not a law enforcement position, even though he had a badge, uniform, and firearm. When he was questioned by the civil service about this, and we've gone over this letter that he wrote back to the civil service, he clearly states, I have no plans of firing him. None. Now, days later, that deputy ended up having to resign because I'm guessing the feds told him, you're violating your agreement. We're about to stick you in federal prison. And so he resigned. During a recent interview with USA Today, Smith refused to admit that Mitchell was treated badly. That's a fact. I watched it. Horrible. He ponders whether security footage might exist that exonerates his employees, the ones who have pleaded guilty already, although he failed to offer up a single second of video that would exonerate any of them or even paint any portion of the many awful acts in a somewhat better light. He admitted in that interview, and this is not the first time he has stated this, to having never watched, this says all of the security footage. He's admitted in another interview that he's not watched any of it, that he refuses to watch any of the footage from what happened to Tony Mitchell. Still to this day is one of the craziest things he said. You're the leader. You're the sheriff. You are 100% responsible for what happens in that jail. And a man was tortured and killed in your jail and literally frozen to death. And you're saying you won't even watch the footage? What? Make that make sense. Because Nick Smith has no interest in cleaning up the Walker County Sheriff's Department. There's our first opinion. We've gotten to the end of the art. There's our first opinion. An opinion I agree with, but it is an opinion. Because Smith doesn't think there's a problem. That's a fact. He stated that himself. Even though there are many, many problems, in fact, there appears to be a higher percentage of criminals employed by the sheriff's department at one time under Smith than there were residing in the jail controlled by Smith. That's a fact. In addition to the 20 who have been arrested on federal charges, there are 3 other recent employees who have faced state charges. That includes a former reserve deputy indicted on child SA charges, and it also includes Smith himself. Facts. The sheriff is facing 6 misdemeanor charges for knowingly employing uncertified deputies. That includes hiring 1 uncertified deputy to work as a resource officer inside a school. I was thinking it was 2. If it was 1, I'm going to go back and correct myself, but I think it was 2. Anyway, facts. Those are facts. And yet, despite all of that, a recent poll published by the Coleman Daily, which may or may not be a legitimate source, showed Smith, who has positioned himself as the true conservative, with a slight lead over Jason Akins in the race for sheriff. Because everyone knows that true conservatism is being okay with torturing people until they die. And obviously that's sarcasm. Very quickly, and we're going to talk about it more at some point, but Jason Akins, I've heard tons of great things about him. I've had very in-depth conversations with a lot of people that know him personally and have for a long time, and I think he would be really good sheriff. And that is who I am suggesting every citizen in Walker County to vote for. I'm not getting paid by him. I've yet to even ever have a conversation with the man. I don't know him personally at all. He is supposed to be a guest on my podcast for me to interview. But that is 100% my opinion on who you should vote for in Walker County. Again, I'm not getting paid for that. Nobody's put me up to say that. That is 100% my opinion. Then the article goes on to say, what are y'all doing? And that's a good question. Look, I don't know Akins or Smith for that matter. But unless Akins is running a crime family that's froze a person to death, I think he's the safer bet. Honestly, if Smith was the only choice, you'd be better off without a sheriff. Just to err on the side of caution, I'll say that's an opinion because technically it is, but damn, it's pretty true. But okay, there's our second opinion in this whole article. Because it's one thing to lack oversight, to blindly defend your employees, to fire a whistleblower and not the criminal. And that's not the only whistleblower he's fired, by the way. We'll talk about the other one in a minute. Because it's one thing to lack oversight, to blindly defend your employees, to fire a whistleblower and not the criminal. But it's quite another to be confronted with clear evidence of all of that and of the pain and destruction that it has caused the people you have sworn to protect and refuse to even acknowledge it happened. That is a factual paragraph. Facts. Walker County deserves better than that. That's a fact. Technically, it's an opinion, so we'll say 3 opinions. But the people there are going to have to choose it for themselves. That's a fact. So out of this entire hit piece, as he's calling it, this entire, hold on, I lost this thinking. Here we go. This entire opinion, as he's calling it, 3 opinions and countless facts. And this is what I'm talking about with him gaslighting. He is blaming this, saying this is just all political. You can't make this up. This is nothing but facts. Again, we have 3 opinions in this whole article. The rest are complete factual facts. I don't think I have to say factual facts. I'm pissed off. They're facts. And him and his wife say this is all political against him. I have no words. None. This man is sick. As I've said numerous times, he and his wife, they live in a literal fantasy world that no one else is in. If you still support Nick Smith, I would hope you're not following me anyway, but I don't want you to follow. I don't want anything to do with you because you are sick as well and you have major issues and you need professional help. I don't think I could be more clear. If you still support him, well, let me say this. You're either very, very corrupt and there's something in it for you, or you're sick and you need professional help. His main money person, who I jokingly refer to as his great grandfather, Burns, aka Charles Bishop, is the leader of a crime family. It's my opinion. And I don't know the person who wrote that article, but they're my friend now. I mean, I could not have said any of it better at all. I mean, and that comparison to the crime family, genius and very. I mean, it's very fitting, very fitting. I want to go back and read his post one more time. I've seen the opinion piece being circulated today, and I want to address it directly. First, it's exactly that, an opinion. Well, to be more specific, it was 3 opinions, Nick Smith. Just 3. And I didn't count all the facts. I don't know if anyone kept up with it. I am going to go back and count them because I'm going to put it in my podcast. But way, way more facts. I think it's safe to say the facts outweighed the opinions by a long shot. And it's worth noting where it comes from. A left-leaning, Democrat-friendly outlet that has consistently taken positions against conservative leadership like ours. I'm a Republican, and I'm a conservative. So his politics BS goes out the door. I've been a registered Republican my entire adult life. I have participated on some pretty big Republican campaigns in my time. I'm as Republican as it gets. For him to say this is politics is laughable. But there's one part people shouldn't overlook. Even in their criticism, they acknowledge something important. I forgot who was writing this. There's supposed to be a comma there. That was throwing me off. But there's one part people shouldn't overlook. Even in their criticism, they acknowledge something important. Commas are important. The support we're seeing across this county. And with which I think is BS. I'm telling you, the amount of people that I've talked to that live in Walker County, there's no way there's that many supporting him still. There's no way. And with your continued support, we'll finish this race strong and win. And I don't take that lightly. There's no sense in going back through his BS bullet points here. What you're seeing right now isn't about public safety. It's about politics. That makes me have very, very bad thoughts in my head. That statement right there. The fact that you have the nerve to say something that ignorant over an article, that that is filled full of facts. Facts that no one can argue against. That there's no question that they're facts. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Remember, vote your Republican, Sheriff Nick Smith, in the Republican primary. I may accidentally, I hope I didn't click off I may have lost the YouTube stream. I didn't realize that. I think I clicked on the wrong thing a while ago. Hopefully it's still on there. I don't know. Oh, man. And I've yet to watch his radio interview he did the other morning. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm sure it's full of gold. So I'm sure I'll have a full podcast out on that soon. Let's watch his latest political video here because I haven't seen it myself, so I'm curious. Let's see what kind of nonsense it's filled with. I'll get this right in just a second. There we go. Sorry. I was going to get on my nerves if I didn't.
As most of you know, my name is Tabitha Smith. As most of you know, May 19th is quickly approaching. Our daughters have come to us and they want to share their feelings about their dad. They said, if everybody can, why can't we? So today we're going to shoot a video unlike any that we have ever shot before. They are here to give you their real, honest opinions about their dad. Some might say, well, this is something that y'all wrote. It's nothing that we wrote. It's stuff that they have taken to heart and wrote themselves. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear their true emotions about their dad. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of my husband. And again, May 19th is quickly approaching.
Hi, my name's Anna, and I have some things I want to share about my dad because most of you know that he has gone through a lot, but y'all do not know the real him. Watching my dad serve as a sheriff has always been easy, especially seeing the way people bash him on social media every single day without truly knowing the man we do. What many people don't see is the way that kind of negativity carries, not just for him, but for our whole family. Despite that, he keeps showing up and giving everything he has to make Walker County a better and safer place. And I've watched him grow and come so far through it all. My dad is the kind of man who can walk into a room and instantly become the life of the party. The one who makes everyone laugh and feel welcome. And even on the days that he's had the hardest days imaginable, he still finds a way to show up for people and be there when they need him.
My name is Madeline Smith, and I'm here to talk about my dad. My dad was born and raised in Walker County, and that simple truth means more than most people will ever understand. This community is not just a place on a map to him. It is the place that raised him, shaped him, and built the man he is today. The roads, the people, the churches, the schools, the memories, they are all a part of Walker County is in his heart, and it will always be. Taking office in 2019, my dad has worked tirelessly to improve our local jail and the system that serves our community. When he stepped into that role, he did it with determination and a vision to make things better. He believed the jail could be run with both strength and compassion. Under his leadership, improvement have been made that focus on safety, accountability, and treating people with dignity. While still protecting the citizens of Walker County, the job of a sheriff is not easy. And many people will never see the long nights, the hard decisions.
I want to say something very quickly. And this is not negative towards this little girl. She's completely innocent, doing what her mom and dad's telling her to do. Obviously, Tabitha lied. This little girl didn't write this, what she's saying. Let's be real. I don't even know why you would lie about it. Anyway, we'll move on.
Decisions and the weight that comes with carrying the responsibility of protecting an entire community. But my dad has carried that responsibility with courage and commitment every single day. What so many people don't see, though, is the heart behind the badge. My dad is a Christian man who truly believes in God, love, mercy, and grace. He believes that every person on earth was created in God's image and deserves compassion and understanding in a world that feels like it is becoming more negative every day, where people are quick to judge and tears others down. He tries to lead with faith and kindness. Our family has been fighting battles silently for the last years, battles that most people will never see or understand. Sometimes the negativity.
Again, I hate to even have comments about this because of the little girl, but that statement pisses me off. Things they have faced that we could not even see. Anyone in that man's family saying that is so disrespectful to the families that have actually suffered horrible tragedies because of him and his office. It just pisses me off. They're always the victim. Him and his wife, they're always a victim.
This world can feel overwhelming, and that words people say can cut deeper than they realize. There have been moments that have tested our strength as a family, moments that have hurt and always that are hard to even explain. But through every challenge, every rumor, and every hard day, we have leaned on our faith and trust that God sees everything that people do not.
He lives out Matthew 5:44 every day. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Even when people speak against him or treat him unfairly, he still chooses kindness, grace, and love, because that's the way he knows God would want him to live. I'm beyond proud to call him my dad, because his strength, faith, and heart for others show what kind of man he truly is, no matter what anyone says.
My dad is also a proud father of 4 beautiful children who mean the world to him. Those are my siblings, and I love them more than words could ever explain. We look up to our dad, not just as a sheriff, but as our dad. The man who protects them, guides them, and teaches us about grace, kindness, and strength. Our mom and our entire family stands together through every high and every low, supporting each other and holding on to belief that God is guiding us even when the roads get hard. Even in the middle of the negativity, we have to remember something important. Every single one of us was created in God's image. We are all human, we all make mistakes, and we all need grace. The world could be a
We all make mistakes except for Nick Smith. Again, he's never, ever admitted a mistake.
a much better place if people remembered that before spreading hate or judgment. Through it all, we believe that God is still guiding my dad down the path ahead of him. We believe that God has a plan for his life and for the work he is doing in Walker County. No matter what obstacles come his way, our faith reminds us that God's purpose is always greater than the noise around us. The Bible reminds us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and future." That verse is a reminder that even when things feel heavy, God is still working behind the scenes, leading us towards something greater. Nick Smith's legacy will never be about the negativity that surrounds politics or the criticism that comes with leadership. His legacy will be about the lives he has helped.
That is very true. His legacy won't be about that stuff. It'll be about a lot worse than that.
The improvements he has worked hard to make, and the love he has for the community that raised him. If you believe in faith, leadership, and continuing the work that has already begun, get out and vote on May 19th for Nick Smith.
Madeline, what would you tell people come May 19th why they should vote for your dad?
If they want to continue to have safer schools and safer communities, go out and vote May 19th for my dad.
You've heard it from the best, guys. Nick is a great man. You've heard his daughters talk about him. Everything does not always have to be in a negative light. To continue going down this positive road and for us to continue to make Walker County great, we ask you to vote May 19th for Nick Smith for Walker County Sheriff.
Make America great again.
I feel so bad for those children. The fact that he has stooped this low does not surprise me. It makes me dislike him more. So much I want to say, but I'm not. I'll say this, they're horrible parents. Natalie said, I don't believe the youngest wrote that. No, she didn't. I don't mean this in a negative way towards that child, but that is not the vocabulary of a publicly educated child in Alabama. I mean, that's not the vocabulary of any child at that age. No, you're exactly right. Do they even write essays in school anymore? something so disturbing about this. I'd like a peek at the discipline plan in their household. No, you're exactly right. No, my 11-year-old's vocabulary is not that good, and he's pretty intelligent, but yeah, no, not that good. As adults, shouldn't the sheriff and wife be protecting and guarding these children, especially the younger ones, instead of dragging them into this chaos and activity? No, exactly right. And it pisses me off that they are dragging their kids all through this. I saw a comment a while ago, and I'm trying to find it. Because it's exactly what I was thinking. Very well said, Christy. You cannot be a victim of the circumstances you create. Very well said. Somebody said it looked like a hostage video, and that is the first thing I thought about when the poor kid started reading that. And somebody said that, and I was like, you hit it right on the head. I mean, that's wow, and that is what it looked like. There is no low that he won't stoop to. Non-existent. I'm going to have them a trophy made, sent to them Worst Parents Award, because they are horrible parents. Anyway, all right, that's enough. I truly pray for his children. They don't deserve any of this. They can't help who their parents are, and it's sad. All right, let me see. Going back over my notes right quick, make sure there's nothing. I don't think there's anything else I was going to talk about tonight. Yeah, I think that was it. Again, if you're not following or subscribing, please do that. I'd really appreciate that. And make sure you check out my full podcast. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. And you can find me anywhere under it's Agent D Baker, except on Facebook. And on Facebook, it's just my full name, Derek, D-E-R-E-K, Baker. But I appreciate the follows and subscribers on all those. And again, if you're not subscribing on YouTube, please do that. I'm trying to grow that. I really appreciate that. And also, when I'm live, I'm always live on at least these 3 platforms, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. TikTok's been known to ban me for a couple days just for no reason whatsoever. I mean, it's ridiculous stuff. Like, we've got banned for nudity one time. Obviously, no nudity here. All kinds of stuff. None of it's ever been true, but they're finicky. So make sure you follow me, like I said, on or subscribing on YouTube as well. That way, when I get kicked off TikTok every once in a while, you'll still be able to catch my lives and stuff. Make sure you check out the short podcast I did today. Again, it's only like 8 minutes on the state representative and that SAVE Act, especially if you're a citizen in Alabama, if you're an Alabama citizen and voting. Please check that out because you need to contact your senator, your state senator immediately and tell them to vote against this. We don't need this. And also, if you're a voter in Alabama, make sure in May in the primaries you vote for Jared Hudson for U.S. Senate. That's who we need in D.C. Trust me. Just if you don't trust anything I say or do, please trust that. We need to get him in that seat. It'd be very, very good for us, for sure, and for children. That's who we need. The guy that combats child predators and chases down and tracks down child predators every single day of his life. That's who we need. So, make sure to tell your friends and family about that as well. Other than that, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I really mean that. All the support, everyone watching. It really means a lot to me. And again, I can't do any of this by myself. It takes all of you all. So please spread the word. Again, friends and family, have them follow me as well. I really appreciate that. Got some big things coming in the near future. A lot of things is really exciting. Looking forward to those. And again, Patreon will be up very, very soon. There's going to be a lot of cool things on there. Really looking forward to that. But other than that, hope y'all have a great rest of your Monday night, what's left of it anyway. And have a great Tuesday tomorrow. I'll be back live Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure you don't miss that. And in the meantime, I've got a couple more podcasts I'll be putting out in between then. So make sure you check those out. I think it's about it for the night. But I really appreciate it. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and increasingly online. Now, before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.